Lieutenant Sarah Chun's hands won't stop shaking as she reloads her rifle for the third time in 10 minutes. The metallic click of the magazine sliding into place echoes through the bombed-out classroom where she's taken cover, mixing with the distant crack of sniper fire that has kept her pinned down for what feels like hours. Dust particles dance in the shafts of sunlight streaming through bullet holes in the concrete walls, and the acrid smell of cordite burns her nostrils with each labored breath. The Taliban sniper has positioned himself somewhere in the maze of buildings across the courtyard, turning what should have been a routine patrol through this abandoned school in Kandahar into a nightmare. Sarah's squad is scattered across the debris-strewn playground like broken action figures. Corporal Williams crouched behind an overturned desk. Private Johnson pressed against the base of a destroyed swing set, and Sergeant Martinez bleeding behind a pile of rubble that used to be the school's front steps. Chun, covering fire now. Martinez's voice cuts through the chaos, strained with pain and desperation. Blood seeps through his fingers as he presses them against the wound in his shoulder, his face pale beneath the desert camouflage paint. I need to move to better cover. Sarah raises her M4 carbine, her finger hovering over the trigger as she tries to locate the sniper's position. The scope trembles in her vision, making it impossible to acquire a target. Her heart pounds so violently she's certain the enemy can hear it from across the courtyard. This is her moment to prove she belongs here, to show that the 3 months of mistakes and near misses were just growing pains. But as she prepares to fire, the distinctive whistle of an incoming round freezes her blood. The bullet impacts the wall inches from her head, sending concrete fragments into her face. She drops below the windowsill, gasping and shaking, her rifle clattering to the floor. Chun, what the hell are you doing? Martinez's voice is weaker now, more desperate. I'm bleeding out here. She tries to rise again, tries to force herself to return fire, but her body won't obey. Every instinct screams at her to stay down, to wait for someone else to handle the threat. Through the broken window, she watches helplessly as Martinez attempts to move on his own. The sniper's bullet finds him before he makes it 3 feet. The silence that follows is deafening. Williams and Johnson stare at her with a mixture of disbelief and disgust that cuts deeper than any enemy fire. They know, just as she knows, that Martinez would still be alive if she had done her job. 2 hours later, after the quick reaction force finally neutralizes the sniper position and recovers Martinez's body, Sarah finds herself standing at attention in Major Rodriguez's makeshift office. The major is a weathered veteran of 3 deployments, his face carved with lines that speak of too many difficult decisions and too many soldiers lost. He doesn't look at her as he speaks. 3 months? Chun, 3 months and you've cost us 2 vehicles. Nearly got your entire squad killed in that IED incident. And now this. He finally raises his eyes to meet hers, and she sees something worse than anger, disappointment. Martinez had a wife and 2 kids back in Texas. You know that? Yes, sir. Her voice comes out as barely a whisper. I've been in this man's army for 15 years, and I've seen soldiers freeze up before. It happens. But usually, they learn from it. They adapt. They become better warriors. Rodriguez stands and walks to the small window overlooking the forward operating base. You're not adapting, Lieutenant. You're getting worse. The words hit her like physical blows. Sarah had graduated top of her class from West Point, excelled in every training exercise, earned the respect of her instructors and peers. But here, in the real world where bullets don't care about academic achievements, she's proven to be nothing more than a liability. I'm recommending you for early rotation home, Rodriguez continues. Operational concerns. Your replacement will be here within the week. Sir, please, I can do better. What you need is to be somewhere you won't get good soldiers killed. The major's voice is final, brooking no argument. Pack your gear, Chen. You're done. That night, Sarah sits alone in the communications tent, supposedly monitoring radio traffic, but really just trying to process the end of her military career. The tent hums with the constant chatter of various units checking in, requesting supplies, reporting contact with enemy forces. It's a symphony of war that she'll never truly be part of. Around 0200 hours. As she's fighting to stay awake during her watch, an unfamiliar voice cuts through the standard military frequencies. The transmission is weak, crackling with static, but the words are clear enough to make her blood run cold. Sector 7 is clear. The American patrol has withdrawn. The voice speaks in accented English, each word carefully pronounced. Tell me, is the broken American girl still alive? The one who cries when the bullets sing? Sarah's hand freezes over the radio controls. The voice continues, and she realizes with growing horror that it's not just any enemy transmission. It's coming from the sniper who killed Martinez. I watched her today through my scope. Such a pretty little soldier, shaking like a leaf in the wind. She had the shot, you know? Could have saved her sergeant. But she chose to hide instead. There's amusement in the voice, a cruel satisfaction that makes Sarah's stomach churn. I wonder if she dreams of the bullets meant for her. I wonder if she knows I let her live. The transmission cuts to static, leaving Sarah alone with the terrible realization that the enemy has been watching her, studying her failures, learning her weaknesses. Somehow, this ghost sniper knows exactly who she is, not just another American soldier, but Sarah Chen specifically. He's been hunting her unit for weeks, picking them off one by one. And she's been his primary source of entertainment. She replays the voice in her mind, trying to place the accent, the cadence, anything that might give her a clue about his identity. But what haunts her most is the casual way he mentioned letting her live. As if she's not even worth the bullet it would take to kill her. The weight of that realization settles over her like a burial shroud. She's not just a failed soldier, she's a joke to the enemy, a source of amusement for the man who murdered her sergeant. The sniper could have killed her a dozen times over, but he chose not to because watching her fail was more entertaining than ending her. Misery. Sarah stares at the radio equipment surrounding her, at the maps marked with enemy positions and friendly unit locations, at all the tools of war that she's proven incapable of using effectively. Tomorrow, she'll begin the process of packing her gear and preparing for the flight home. In a week, she'll be back in the States, trying to explain to her family and friends why her military career ended before it really began. But tonight, in the suffocating darkness of the communications tent, she's forced to confront the truth that the enemy sniper has made crystal clear. She's not a warrior. She's not a protector. She's not even a threat. She's just a broken girl who cries when the bullets sing, and everyone, friend and foe alike, knows it. The radio crackles with routine traffic, but Sarah no longer hears it. All she can hear is that mocking voice asking if she's still alive, and the terrible certainty that she wishes she wasn't. Sarah doesn't sleep that night. She sits on her narrow cot, staring at the radio transcript she's written out in her own handwriting, memorizing every word the sniper spoke. By dawn, she's made a decision that terrifies and exhilarates. Or in equal measure, she's going to find the ghost who's been haunting her unit. And she's going to end this before another soldier dies because of her failures. The opportunity comes sooner than expected. During the morning briefing, Captain Morrison spreads aerial photographs across the table, pointing to a cluster of buildings 2 kilometers north of their position. Intelligence indicates the sniper who's been hitting our patrols is operating from this sector. We've also received reports of civilians being held in one of these structures, possibly as human shields. Major Rodriguez studies the photos with grim concentration. What's the recommended approach? Command wants us to wait for additional assets. Apache support. Maybe a full company assault. Morrison's voice carries the weight of bureaucratic caution. Could be a week before we have the resources. A week those civilians don't have, Rodriguez mutters. He looks around the room at his remaining officers and NCOs. This bastard has been picking us apart for months. Every day we wait, he gets stronger, more confident. Sarah clears her throat, her heart hammering against her ribs. Sir, I'd like to volunteer for reconnaissance. The room falls silent. Rodriguez stares at her as if she suggested flying to the moon. Chun, you're rotating out in 3 days. Your replacement is already en route, which means I have nothing to lose. The words come out steadier than she feels. I know this sniper better than anyone. I've been his primary target for weeks. I understand his patterns, his psychology. You understand how to be his victim, Sergeant Williams interjects, his voice sharp with barely contained anger. Martinez is dead because I failed. Sarah cuts him off, meeting his hostile glare without flinching. And those civilians are going to die because we're sitting here waiting for permission to act. This sniper thinks I'm broken, thinks I'm harmless. That gives me an advantage. Rodriguez leans back in his chair, studying her with those weathered eyes that have seen too much war. What exactly are you proposing, Lieutenant? Solo reconnaissance. I go in light and fast, gather intelligence on his position and the civilian situation. If I can get close enough. She pauses, knowing the next words will either end her military career or resurrect it. If I can get close enough, I take the shot. Absolutely not. Rodriguez's voice is final. I'm not sending a soldier with your track record on a suicide mission. It's not suicide if I'm already dead. Sarah stands, her hand steady for the first time in months. Sir, that sniper has been inside my head for weeks. He knows my fears, my weaknesses, my failures. But he doesn't know what I'm capable of when I have nothing left to lose. The debate continues for another hour, but Sarah can see the moment Rodriguez begins to waver. The truth is, they're running out of options. The sniper has turned their sector into a killing field, and conventional tactics have failed repeatedly. Sometimes, desperate situations require desperate measures. That evening, as the sun sets over the Afghan mountains, Sarah slips out of the forward operating base through a gap in the perimeter fence. She's traveling light, just her rifle, basic ammunition, water, and a radio set to emergency frequencies. No body armor, no backup, no safety net. If she's going to hunt a ghost, she needs to become one herself. The abandoned village spreads before her like a concrete graveyard. Buildings gutted by years of warfare standing like broken teeth against the darkening sky. Sarah moves through the shadows with a fluidity that surprises her. Muscle memory from countless training exercises finally clicking into place. For the first time since arriving in Afghanistan, she feels like a soldier instead of a target. 2 hours into her infiltration, the radio crackles to life with a familiar voice. Little Sarah, are you out there in the darkness? The sniper's words drift through the static like poison honey. I can smell your fear from here. It's sweeter than jasmine flowers. Sarah's finger hovers over the transmit button, but she resists the urge to respond. Let him think she's still the broken girl who cries when bullets sing. Let him underestimate her one more time. I have gifts waiting for you, the voice continues. And Sarah can hear the smile in his words. 3 gifts with American faces, tied up in the old mosque. They've been asking for their mothers, just like you did when Martinez died. The taunt hits its mark, but instead of breaking her down, it crystallizes her resolve. This isn't just about proving herself any more innocent lives hang in the balance. And she's the only one in position to save them. Sarah adjusts her route toward the mosque, a partially collapsed building at the village's center. As she moves through the maze of abandoned homes and shops, she begins to understand the sniper's tactical advantage. The village is a perfect killing field, with multiple elevated positions and clear sightlines. But it's also a maze, and mazes work both ways. Are you coming to play, little Sarah? The radio crackles again. "I've been so lonely without your tears to keep me company." This time, Sarah keys the microphone. "I'm coming." Her voice is steady, controlled. "And I'm bringing gifts of my own." The silence that follows stretches for nearly a minute before the sniper responds, and when he does, there's something different in his tone, a note of uncertainty that wasn't there before. Brave words from a broken soldier. But words don't stop bullets, do they? Sarah doesn't respond. She's too busy studying the mosque's approaches, identifying potential sniper nests, calculating angles and distances. The academic knowledge she'd mastered at West Point finally begins to merge with hard-earned field experience, creating something new, a tactical awareness she's never possessed before. As she moves closer to the mosque, Sarah realizes the sniper has made a crucial error. His overconfidence has led him to establish a pattern, a predictable routine that she can exploit. He's been the hunter for so long that he's forgotten how to be prey. The radio crackles one more time. "I can see you now, little Sarah, moving through the shadows like a frightened mouse." "Do you really think you can?" The transmission cuts off abruptly, and Sarah smiles grimly. She's found his primary position, a minaret overlooking the mosque courtyard. More importantly, she's identified his weakness. He can't resist talking, can't resist the psychological warfare that has served him so well. But every transmission gives away his location, and Sarah has been triangulating his position with each taunt. Now comes the hard part. The sniper knows she's here, knows she's hunting him. The game has begun in earnest, and only one of them will see the sunrise. But for the first time since arriving in Afghanistan, Sarah Chun feels like she has a fighting chance. The broken girl who cried when bullets sang is gone, replaced by something harder, more dangerous. The predator is about to discover that his prey has teeth. The mosque courtyard stretches before Sarah like an ancient amphitheater, its cracked tiles reflecting fragments of moonlight that dance with each passing cloud. She crouches behind a collapsed fountain, studying the minaret that towers above the main building like a concrete finger pointing accusingly at the stars. Somewhere in that tower, the ghost sniper waits with his rifle trained on the shadows below. Sarah's radio remains silent now, but she knows he's watching. She can feel his scope tracking her movements, calculating wind speed and bullet drop, waiting for the perfect shot. The difference is that she's no longer the terrified lieutenant who froze when Martinez needed her most. 3 months of failures have taught her something valuable: how to think like prey, how to use an enemy's expectations against them. She moves in short, erratic bursts, never following a predictable pattern, always keeping hard cover between herself and the minaret. The sniper's silence tells her everything she needs to know. He's frustrated, confused by her sudden tactical competence. The broken girl he's been tormenting has vanished, replaced by someone who understands the deadly mathematics of urban warfare. 20 minutes into her approach, Sarah reaches the mosque's main entrance. The heavy wooden doors hang askew on rusted hinges, revealing a darkness that seems to swallow light itself. She slips inside, her rifle raised and ready, moving through the prayer hall with practiced silence. Overturned prayer rugs and scattered debris tell the story of a sanctuary violated by war. In the far corner, she finds them, 3 American contractors bound with zip ties and duct tape, their faces bruised and swollen from days of captivity. One of them, a middle-aged man with graying hair, looks up as she approaches. His eyes widen with a mixture of hope and disbelief. "Are you real?" he whispers through cracked lips. "Real enough," Sarah replies, cutting his bonds with her combat knife. "How many hostiles?" "Just one. The sniper. He's been using us as bait, waiting for a rescue attempt." The man rubs circulation back into his wrists. "He said American soldiers would come and he'd kill them one by one while we watched." Sarah helps the other two contractors to their feet, her mind racing through extraction options. The sniper expects her to try leaving with the hostages, expects her to expose herself in the courtyard. But Sarah has learned something important during her months of failure. Sometimes the best way to win is to do exactly what your enemy doesn't expect. There's a back exit through the kitchen. She tells the contractors, "Wait for my signal, then move fast and low toward the village perimeter. Don't stop, don't look back. What about you?" The gray-haired man asks. Sarah checks her rifle one final time, chambering around with deliberate precision. "I'm going to finish this." She makes her way to the minaret's base, where a narrow spiral staircase winds upward into darkness. Each step is a calculated risk, each footfall potentially her last. The sniper knows she's coming, he has to know. But he also believes he holds every advantage. High ground, superior position, intimate knowledge of the terrain. What he doesn't know is that Sarah has spent the last 3 hours studying his psychology, learning his patterns, understanding his weaknesses. The ghost sniper's greatest strength, his arrogance, has become his fatal flaw. Halfway up the staircase, a radio crackles to life one final time. "Little Sarah." The voice is different now, strained with something that might be fear. "You've surprised me tonight." But surprises don't stop bullets. Sarah keys the microphone, her voice steady and cold. "Is she still alive?" she asks, throwing his own words back at him. "The broken American girl? Because I think you killed her when you murdered my sergeant." The silence stretches for long seconds before he responds. "Who are you?" "I'm the soldier you created when you decided to play games instead of just pulling the trigger." Sarah continues climbing, her boots silent on the stone steps. "I'm what happens when you give someone with nothing to lose a reason to fight." She reaches the top of the staircase and peers through the doorway into the minaret's observation chamber. Moonlight streams through the arched windows, illuminating a figure hunched over a rifle mounted on a bipod. The sniper is younger than she expected, barely 18, with the soft features of someone who should be in college, not orchestrating death from a tower, but his eyes tell a different story. They're old eyes, hardened by violence and loss, belonging to someone who's seen too much war for his age. When he turns to face her, Sarah sees something unexpected: fear. Real, genuine terror at finding himself face to face with the prey he's been tormenting. "You're just a boy," she says, her rifle trained on his center mass. "Old enough to kill your sergeant," he replies, but his voice shakes. "Old enough to put a bullet through your heart. Then why haven't you?" Sarah steps into the chamber, maintaining her sight picture. "You've had dozens of opportunities. Every patrol, every mission, every time I showed my face. Why am I still breathing?" The boy's hands tremble as he reaches for his sidearm. "Because watching you suffer was more entertaining than watching you die." Wrong answer. Sarah's finger tightens on the trigger. "You didn't kill me because you're not a soldier. You're a scared kid playing war games. And now the game is over." In the split second before she fires, Sarah sees something that changes everything. Pinned to the boy's vest is a photograph, a family portrait showing him with what must be his parents and younger sister. All of them are smiling, gathered around a birthday cake in what looks like a modest home. The image is creased and faded, carried close to his heart through months of violence. The realization hits her like a physical blow. This isn't a hardened terrorist or a professional killer. This is someone's son, someone's brother, forced into a role he never chose. The fear in his eyes isn't the fear of death. It's the fear of a child who's been playing at being a monster for so long he's forgotten how to be human. Sarah adjusts her aim in the microsecond before firing, her bullet shattering the rifle's scope instead of the boy's skull. He staggers backward, his weapon useless, his hand raised in surrender. "Please," he whispers in accented English. I have family. I have. So did Sergeant Martinez. Sarah keeps her rifle trained on him, but her finger moves away from the trigger. So do those contractors you were using as bait? The boy collapses to his knees, tears streaming down his face. They made me do it. My village, my family, they said they would kill them all if I didn't fight. Sarah stares at him for a long moment, seeing herself reflected in his terror. Both of them are children playing at war. Both of them broken by circumstances beyond their control. The difference is that she still has a choice about what happens next. Stand up, she orders. You're coming with me. 2 hours later, Sarah walks through the gates of the forward operating base with her prisoner in tow. The intelligence he provides leads to the rescue of 17 hostages and the dismantling of a major insurgent cell. Major Rodriguez meets her at the command post, his weathered face showing something she's never seen before: respect. The broken girl who was nearly sent home, he says quietly. What happened to her? Sarah looks back toward the village where she left her fears buried in the darkness. She learned that sometimes the only way to stop being prey is to become the predator. But more importantly, she learned that being the predator doesn't mean you have to become a monster. The ghost sniper's final whisper, "Is she still alive?" echoes in her memory. But now Sarah knows the answer. The broken girl is dead, replaced by someone stronger, someone who chose mercy over vengeance and courage over fear. The enemy's mocking question had become the catalyst for her transformation from liability to leader, from victim to victor.